Yo, what's up? I miss you guys. I feel like I've been gone forever, but we're back with the good ass card for this breakdown. UFC 223, one of the best cards of the year. In my opinion, you could argue this is the best lightweight fight of all time. So, really got a good card for this breakdown. I'm gonna just jump right into it. The first fight of the night is Magomedsharipov against Kyle BOCHNIAK. And it's going to be a treat, man. We get to see Khabib fight again, especially this early on the card. I think this is going to be the last time we see him be in the opener of a card. This is his first pay-per-view. And, he's going to be a guy that we're going to be seeing a lot of. I think that he's going to win this fight going away. I don't think it's a very close fight whatsoever. Khabib's striking is just really nasty. He throws a lot of kicks from both stances, throws a lot of different kicks. He even threw that kick off the cage, Anthony Pettis style. Really long. He likes to use his length extremely well when he's moving backwards, and he keeps his range. And when he has you moving backwards, that's when he'll throw his spinning techniques. He throws spinning kicks to the body, spinning kicks to the head. Really wild techniques, spinning back fist. He has a pretty good switch in reversals and grappling exchanges. Actually, he's a pretty good grappler as well. Defends takedowns very well. Gets the top position himself and starts looking to take the back. And really does a good job taking the back, controlling position. He's a really great uppercut, decent hands, but he's much better at distance. He was hit with a few hard body kicks against Shaman Rice, but I think this guy's really a generational talent. I think he's going to go down as one of the better fighters in MMA history. I mean, I'm already comfortable in saying that. Just the fluidity in his technique, the style, everything that he does, you could just tell that he's a next level talent. And Kyle BOCHNIAK he's more of a striker as well, prototypical boxer, wrestler type guy. Not even really a wrestler, just a grinder. Nice leg kick, big power in his right hands. He does put pressure on his opponents, but he doesn't throw as much as I would like. He likes to beat up the lead leg a lot, and he also gets his own leg beat up. He's there to be kicked as well. And it seems like he doesn't have much off his back. He seems like really green in the jiu-jitsu. But he does have some decent takedown defense, but he was taken down at will against Jeremy Kennedy. He is tough. He'll try to walk through strikes to land his own. But he is a little wild when he comes forward, almost running at times. He does have solid cardio. He'll push through, and he showed that. He fought a guy, Charles Rosa, on 4 days' notice in his UFC debut. I thought he won that fight. He got the L. He had a good game plan in his last fight, stuck and moved. Had some pretty timely takedowns. And able to beat Brandon Davis in that one. But I just don't see any way to victory in this fight. He's not going to be able to take down Khabib. He's not going to be able to handle his athleticism or striking from a distance on the feet. Khabib just has so much more variety, so much more everything than him. I think the first round, Khabib's going to really put it to him, really hammer him, really have him pretty much compromised going into the second round. I think the second round, he's pretty much going to get the knockout. I'm going to go with Khabib by KO. And that's not going to be my most confident pick of the night because it's such a lopsided with the lines. But, that's one of the picks that I just can't see any way that Kyle BOCHNIAK can get that win in that fight. And up next, we have another fight that I'm actually pretty confident in, and I think it's going to be a good fight. Devin Clark against Mike Rodriguez. Mike Rodriguez is very long, lanky, very athletic and fluid on the feet, it seems like. Good range. Likes to throw stomp kicks to the knees and nice straight, has some pretty crisp striking. He kind of has that John Jones type striking, even though he's not nearly as good. Timed a really good flying knee off a takedown attempt in Dana White Contender Series for a nasty KO. He's still pretty young in his career. I'm not entirely sure what his grappling is at. He was submitted 2 years ago by a low-level regional guy. He did a good job of sprawling a takedown in his last fight. But he also had a pretty tough fight about 2 years ago against another guy on the regional level that was 5-5. I saw him get taken down in that fight early. He actually got his back taken against a guy named Alex Huben, who's 5-4. So not the greatest talent, just a regional level guy. And I just don't know how his takedown is, or how his takedown defense is. But he will throw the front kick to the body, and he has 4 straight KO, TKO, so he's riding a lot of momentum. He's been working at Lozon's gym, so I'm sure he's learning new techniques on the ground. He has intangibles to be very good on the feet. If he can keep it on the feet, or in the UFC, if he can keep it on the feet, keep it up, he will have success against Devin Clark. But Devin Clark's a really athletic wrestler, good physicality. Bit smaller for the weight class, but he has good speed, good power and explosiveness, and really heavy shots. Even though his striking needs major work, he's still dangerous because he can close the distance very quickly and clip and hurt you. And just guys that big that are athletic and close the distance can clip you. That's a dangerous guy right there for anyone. He was giving Jan Blachowicz a bit of problem with his athleticism as well. He still has his chin high. He's a bit crazy aggressive. He'll smother his punches, crash the distance too hard. He got caught and finished against Alex Nicholson very late after dominating that fight. That was at 185 pounds though. And against Jan Blachowicz in his last fight, he got caught in a standing bulldog choke. Kind of went into the clinch too recklessly, but he was having a pretty good performance in that fight. And this is a very big step down in competition. He is a wrestler, he has a great double leg. Good entries on his shot as well, and good drive. He'll drive and put his opponents on their ass for sure. On top, he's aggressive, solid top control, solid ground control. Really good at passing. He has a good gas tank as well. Continue to push for all 3 rounds. Really showed that in one of his wins in the UFC. Who was that against? I'm trying to remember. He had a very good win. Jake Collier. That was who he was against. Very good win. Showed, very good stamina in that fight and really put it to Jake Collier. And I just think that he's going to be too much for Mike Rodriguez. I think this is a huge step up for Mike and a big step down for Devin Clark. I think Mike Rodriguez has problems with the wrestling game. I think Devin Clark's going to be able to take him down early, round 1, and pound him out, get the victory. Or if not round 1, round 2 by ground and pound. And I'm going to go with Devin Clark. I'm pretty confident in that pick. And, I'm going to go with Devin Clark in that one. Up next, we have Bec Rawlings against Ashlee Evans-Smith in a pretty low-level fight for women's MMA. But this is going to be my most confident pick of the night here. I'm going with Ashlee Evans-Smith. But, first of all, I hate the UFC for making us watch this on a pay-per-view card. But we're going to have to break it down either way. Ashlee Evans-Smith is making the drop to flyweight. She's fighting Bec Rawlings, who's lost 3 fights in a row. Rawlings did not go to Alliance for this camp. She stayed in Australia at United Fight Team. See her on Instagram a lot with her kids. A lot of, just seems like she's pretty busy. It doesn't seem like she's maybe as committed as she used to be when she would go to Alliance, completely be away from her family, all that. Kind of seems like maybe she's grabbing one last paycheck. Ashlee Evans-Smith, she used to fight at 145, then at 135. Now she's coming down to 125. And Rawlings used to be a 115-pounder who moved up. So Ashlee's definitely going to be a much bigger girl. Rawlings is a boxer brawler. She likes to throw hard hooks, close the distance, and bang. She's really slow. But she does come in to fight, but she is in bad shape. And after that round 1, seems like she gasses very badly. Off her back, Bec is a bit tricky, in the guard. She'll attack with the arm bars. And, a little bit better off her back than I thought she was, but I don't think she's good enough to catch Ashlee Evans-Smith off her back. She really has heavy forward pressure, but she smothers her punches because she crosses distance so much. And she doesn't move her head, so she can get really smashed coming in with jabs and, straight punches. But she does have a decent chin. She won't go for takedowns or any grappling herself, really, but she's very willing to stay on her back. It seems like she breaks in between rounds and in fights. She was saying she's fucking heavy versus Jessie Jess over and over in her corner. Seemed like she was breaking. And Ashlee Evans-Smith is a 4-time All-American wrestler. Definitely gotten better with her boxing, but still needs major work. She throws the air a lot of the time. But she does have good transitions on top, gets dominant positions such as the crucifix, and she'll rain down punishment and finish the fight. Really solid jabs, solid straight punches, good hard kicks. She does have power on the feet. Good chin as well. She took a lot of big shots against Ketlin Vieira, who most likely will be contending for the belt. So, and that was at 135. So I think she'll definitely be able to take the shots at Bec Rawlings. And she should definitely be wary of subs. So she got caught in an armbar in her last fight and had her arm broken. So I think she's going to be in there with a good mindset to not get caught with submission. And I think Bec Rawlings is done, man. Coming in for the paycheck. I saw a lot of stuff. Ashlee Evans-Smith was doing an interview with James Lynch where she was basically saying that she knows that if she wants to do her social media, or not her social media, her her media career, go on Fox, go on different outlets, become a potential color commentator, things like that, or an analyst, she needs to win. And she was very adamant about that, and I think that is important to her as well as winning fights. So I think she's going to win. I think it's going to be pretty much a squash match, first or second round, ground and pound. So I'm going to go with Ashlee Evans-Smith, and that's going to be my most confident pick of the night for you guys. And up next, we have Alex Caceres versus Artem Lobov. And, this is a pretty crazy fight. A guy with a record of 14-14 and a guy with 13-11-1 fighting in the UFC. But, nonetheless, Artem Lobov has, in my opinion, almost become underrated due to being so maligned. His record's so bad, he'd never be in the UFC without Conor. All that is true, but he is not the worst fighter anymore, He has improved a lot. He's a pressure fighter. He does seem to have a great presence in the cage. People do seem to really feel his punches, really, back up. And seems like they really respect him a bit. And he does move forward. He always, has his opponents moving backwards. He has a short reach, so he struggles to get in range at times. But when he does, he has fast hands, decent combination punching. Likes to attack with a lead uppercut. He does have decent head movement and entries into his shots. He can get wild, stop using his techniques, hands down, become extremely hittable, just look bad, trying to goad the guy into a war. And he was able to be a little bit successful with that on Tough, but in the UFC, we have not seen him be successful with that. His straight punches do have pop and are fast. He was catching and hurting Andre Fili with a couple of them. Great chin, and I believe he, walks in hands down trying to goad guys in to get into a war with them, but they're just too smart for that now. He is dangerous in the pocket, likes to slip counter, comes back with straights. He doesn't have much of a long-range striking game to talk about, but he does have solid leg kicks that if he sees he can exploit, he'll go after. He really did that against Chris Avila. He'll throw a leg kick he'll throw a kick to the body as well. He has decent trip takedowns in the clinch, especially against the cage, and on top he isn't that great. Suspect takedown defense as well, and he can't get caught coming in with double legs. Off his back, he is decent at protecting himself, controlling posture. Will attack with leg locks, use that to reverse position or stand up. He'll try to push late in the fight, late in the round to get the finish or get the round secured. And I believe he's the type of guy to at least come in shape and always be on point and on his capabilities. I don't think he's ever going to shortchange, ever going to come in out of shape, ever going to come in not looking to fight. So I always think you're going to get what you're going to get from Artem. And SPG Ireland, his camp, Conor McGregor's camp, John Kavanagh, are 1-7 since January 1st, 2017 in the UFC. So he's going to be looking to get the second win in 9 tries for the SPG fight team. Been on a bit of a skid lately, but Bruce Leroy, he's a longtime staple in the UFC, fought 18 times in the company. He's known for a flashy striking style, throwing a lot of spinning kicks to the body, double punches, spinning elbows, just very crazy techniques. But overall, he's a good, solid athlete. On the outside, he has solid lateral head movement, pretty hard to hit. He's fast. He can have some pretty slips, look very pretty at times on the feet. Solid body kick, and his kicks are good from long range. But when he doesn't set him up, definitely get countered with straight punches. I think that's where Artem Lobov may be successful in this fight. And with all that being said about Alex Caceres' movement, I do think a lot of it is wasted movement because he crashes the distance to throw punches. He doesn't throw punches from range. And the only thing he uses from range are his kicks, and sometimes he doesn't set those up. So he doesn't use the movement to, create entries for his punches or to, strike from long range. He kind of just uses the movement and then crashes in. And that's why I think he's not as successful as he can be. And, he's not long with his punches. He gets caught coming in with shots. Very questionable chin. Gets rocked in a lot of his fights. Really got hurt bad against Jason Knight. Really got hurt bad in his last fight against Guang Wang in China as well. He's been getting dropped a lot in his fights. I think he got dropped by Rolando D as well, if I remember correctly. And, it seems like his chin's becoming a bit of a question mark. But I do think that he has great cardio, and he gets better as the fight goes on. And he's never going to quit. He has the Bushido spirit. I think he maybe has better grappling than Artem. He has some solid submission finishes, but I don't think he's going to be able to take Artem down consistently, and I don't think he's really going to try to. And Caceres doesn't have huge power. I think he really struggles with pressure fighters as well. And this is actually a good matchup for Artem, man. I think Artem's going to be able to get the second round TKO. And he's going to run his extremely impressive record to 14-14, man. Artem Lobov, baby. And I think that he's going to be able to do it. And up next, we have a very intriguing fight. Very interesting. I've been really looking forward to seeing this fight since it got announced. I was actually very interested in seeing Marbek Taisimov as well. I can't lie, but pretty good replacement here with OAM. And OAM, Olivier AUBIN-MERCIER, is coming in to fight Evan Dunham. And, Evan Dunham is someone that just really sneaks up on people. He's still here in the UFC. I think he's on a 6-fight unbeaten streak in the UFC, 5-0-1 in his last 6 fights. But, Mercier is going to be coming in. He's going to be coming in good shape because he recently had that fight scheduled against Gilbert Burns and it got canceled. That wasn't too long ago, so I'm thinking that he's probably going to be in pretty solid shape. And Dunham's been looking the best he ever has, and frankly, just very impressive. Really improved with his boxing, throws awesome combinations, a lot of volume, angling off after his shots, making him hard to hit. He's traditionally always been slow, so now he's coming in at different angles, different entries, throwing an awesome jab, throwing an awesome straight combo, jab straight, and just really keeping the pressure, keeping the volume, going to the body as well, just really making it hard for people to get combinations off on him because he's throwing that jab and just flicking so much pressure at you. He'll finish his combinations with a knee or head kick, and they're actually very accurate as well. And he likes to mix it up, go for takedowns of his own. On top, very good, will attack with a lot of chokes, submissions such as darces, guillotines, Japanese neckties. Has really strong ground and pound as well. Very good cardio, solid chin. In his last fight, he kind of proved that, against Beneil Dariush. Took a beating in round 1 and came back, won the last 2 rounds, took the draw. His ground and pound is very accurate. He'll rain down hard shots, but he won't waste a lot of shots. And he's very tricky with the submission game. He even has his own jiu-jitsu school in Las Vegas, Dunham Jiu-Jitsu. So it just shows how high level he is. And his hand speed is a bit slow, but due to him having good angles and throwing constant combinations, tends to get away with it. He has good power on his hands as well, makes guys tentative and starts making them move backwards, but he doesn't seem to have the power to finish. He is a decent wrestler with good entries, but I wouldn't say he's the best wrestler, but I would say he's relentless with his attempts and relentless with that pressure to take it to the ground. And he's definitely there to make you work, and you will never have an easy fight against Evan Dunham, man. You're never going to go home and say Evan Dunham didn't make you feel him, because Evan Dunham is just, he's a guy that's always going to come to fight, and he can move backwards and then plant and throw shots as well, or he can, walk in and walk you down and throw volume. So he is a guy that's been able to master striking, moving backwards, and going forwards, and he hasn't lost in nearly 4 years, and he's largely struggled against the elite, but some of his losses are highly controversial. He had a highly controversial decision against Sean Shirk and RDA. I actually think he beat both of those guys. And if he had those 2 wins, his career could look very different. And he pushes in the final minute of the fight. He knows how to steal rounds. And he's the definition of a tough, grizzled veteran, man. But OAM, a talented grappler as well, big, bulky guy. Now has a great jab, a great check left hook, and he's become a much more technical striker. Really nice power on his punches as well. He can hurt you. He dropped Drew Dober quite a few times with the jab. And really what his bread and butter is, though, man, is he can maul you on the ground. Loves to get the back in the rear naked choke. He can get caught not moving his head and get clipped and dropped, but overall he has solid defense. He did have a close win in his last fight versus Tony Martin. Tony Martin really put it on him in that 3rd round, but he showed great heart. He fought out of a rear naked choke. And Tony Martin is another pretty good prospect at 155 pounds, so it's a very solid win. He isn't the fastest guy either, and I think that'll help Dunham here because Dunham's not the fastest guy, and I think that when he starts to get into upper echelon, that'll get exploited. But here, I don't think that'll get exploited too much. I think Dunham is actually the better wrestler than Olivier AUBIN-MERCIER as well, but Olivier AUBIN-MERCIER has good takedowns, especially against the cage. Throws really nice kicks. Solid off his back. He'll attack with omoplatas and leg locks. He'll reverse position. On the feet, I kind of favor Dunham. I think he has better combinations, comes in with more complex striking patterns, better entries. And I think the grappling will be a wash. I don't think either guy will be able to submit the other. But I actually favor Dunham in the wrestling department, to be honest. And I believe that he'll actually be able to control Mercier on top if he gets on top of him. But I'm not sure Mercier will be able to control Dunham if Mercier gets on top of Dunham. Dunham is very good at getting up. And I think the jab, right hook, and left straight are going to be Mercier's main attacks in that fight. And he doesn't go for takedowns in space, but he's very good at takedowns against the cage. And I just think that Dunham's going to be too smart. I think he's going to be throwing too much volume. I think he's going to be getting him to move back, not himself move back. And I think he's just going to outwork him. I think he's going to deny the grappling. I think he's going to go for takedowns of himself, even if he doesn't get them. And I'm going to go with Evan Dunham here, but this is going to be a hard pass in terms of betting. Anything like that, that's a tough fight to call. And up next, you have a fight, Joe Lauzon against Chris Gruetzmacher. And very intrigued with this fight. Just, I wonder if it's the end of the line for Joe Lauzon. But this is going to be a fun fight and going to be awesome for however long it lasts. Chris Gruetzmacher is a pressure boxer. And he went to train at ATT for this fight, so definitely going to be getting some good sparring partners, some good work in. He walks forward as extreme pressure, great cardio, always making you work, always pushing you back, a great chin as well, and he really relies heavily on his chin. He walks through shots unfazed, and he's getting hit with hard shots. He doesn't move his head. He just doesn't care at all. Just eats them, walks forward. He likes to throw nice short punches, a good straight right hand, good pop in his right hand as well. He'll throw the leg kicks inside and outside. Actually, it's a pretty strong body kick. Likes to throw a lead uppercut. Also come in with the jab, straight right combination. Not the fastest guy or a good long-range striker, so he has to be in the pocket to be effective. He really likes to grind out his opponents against the cage, throw knees. He has solid takedown defense initially, but if you start to chain attacks together, he seems to give up his back a lot. Really seems to just not know the intricacies of prolonged wrestling nuance. And, when he gives up his back, he does have solid takedown defense, or solid defense on his back. He will get free. He did get free at times in his last fight, but he has been rear naked choked in his last 2 fights in the UFC, so definitely needs to get that under control. But he had a good performance in his last fight. He was a big underdog, and he was denying takedowns, able to stand up against the cage. He ultimately got caught in a rear naked choke again in that fight in round 3. But he was hurting his opponent very bad, and he was landing some good shots in that fight. And he comes into fights with amazing cardio, and he will force you to work while the fight lasts. You will need to be very careful in round 1 against Lauzon. Lauzon usually comes in, like a house on fire. Then he slows down tremendously, He's the UFC bonus king, He's definitely seen his better days, though. And this is going to be his 26th UFC fight. Definitely starting to slow down. Got TKO'd very quickly in his last fight against Clay Guida, who's not really known for having big power. But he is a jiu-jitsu practitioner, very dangerous. He will dive on submissions and really prefers submission over position. You've seen that over the years. Great ground and pound as well, and transition on the ground while keeping top position. Really good at, flowing, just staying on top. But he hasn't earned a submission since 2012, so it has been quite a long time since he's got a submission. He has slow hands. He plods forward. Likes to stand in the pocket with very little movement. Decent pop on his punches, but not a very big puncher. And, when he's hurt, he doesn't back off or try to survive. He kind of just covers up and stays in the pocket. And that's a very bad habit. I really don't like the way he covers up and just stands there as a defense. I don't like that defense for anyone. It really gives you you're just a sitting duck when you do that. You have to use movement, man. You have to get those feet moving. And he just doesn't seem to do that. After being finished like that, you know how he's going to come back. He may be shot with his chin. But he has good takedowns, especially off of catching kicks. He was really good at doing that against Stevie Ray. And he'll get takedowns when the clinch gets the cage. But he doesn't really have any shots to the open bat. And the more and more I looked into this matchup, the more I like Chris Gruetzmacher. I came in thinking Joe Lauzon would get the win, but unfortunately, man, I think he's done. We've seen him get victories recently over other fighters who are completely done. Diego Sanchez, Takanori Gomi, and he had a robbery victory versus Marcin Held, which I thought Held won very clearly. So those are his last 3 wins, man. I just think that his chin is gone. I'm thinking Chris Gruetzmacher is going to find that chin. And I think he's going to get finished in round 1 or 2 by TKO due to uppercut or a right straight punch. And going to be unfortunate to see a guy like Chris Gruetzmacher take out a legend like Joe Lauzon. But, it's the belly of the beast. That's what happens in this company. So up next, we have Ray Borg versus Brandon Moreno in another fight that I'm very confident in. Going with Ray Borg in this one. But Brandon Moreno, the former 16th seed on the Ultimate Fighter, turned out to be a solid fighter. He's training in the States for this fight at Extreme Couture's. Still developing, especially on the feet. He tries to stay long, throw straight combos, jab, move, and kick. Really dangerous kicks. He dropped Dustin Ortiz with the head kick, then finished him with the rear naked choke. But he doesn't have great striking defense, but he is fast, athletic. Used fakes and feints to try to set up different entries for his punches. But he's primarily a grappler. He'll always shoot him for takedowns, double legs, singles. Also has a clinch takedown, but his wrestling isn't that great, and he also can get taken down himself and controlled. Doesn't have the best get-up game or scrambling, in my opinion. He can get control on the ground, but he's very dangerous with his jiu-jitsu. He will dive on submissions. He got a slick guillotine off a single leg that Luis Smolka attempted. Was able to get that rear naked on Dustin Ortiz. He had a war with Ryan Benoit. He was dropped, showed flaws in his striking. Not very active. He doesn't have the greatest power to keep people off him. I don't think he can win fights consistently at the UFC level without being able to take his opponents down, to be honest. He uses a lot of misdirection and playing and moving with his arms, with his hands. Try to get you to, just start thinking about that so he can go for the takedown. But he has solid low leg kicks. On top, he has solid control. He did a great job passing Sergio Pettis' guard, took the back, and was able to control him for the duration of that round. But after that, he got dominated. His long legs helped him out in passing the guard. His back control, very impressive. If he takes your back, it will be very hard to get out of that. But we did see Ray Borg get out of Jussier Formiga's back take, so that was extremely impressive. And I feel like Jussier Formiga might have one of the best back takes in UFC. So, yeah. But, Brandon Moreno will flick the jab out, but he doesn't really ever commit to it. And, he lets you come inside way too nonchalantly. He doesn't really, throw kicks, throw anything to stop you from coming into the pocket. He likes to throw looping counters if you get in the pocket. Doesn't do a good job when he's getting walked down defensively, and I just don't think he's very active. He'll allow you to control the pace and always go first. And his entries aren't set up by punches. He'll do a lot of reaching for singles from way too far out. Seems to like to get into a mode where he's sparring at times, throwing shots that aren't that powerful and just kind of touching you. He will attack to the body with some punches. He has great heart, chin, and cardio, He is a typical Mexican fighter in terms of heart. But Ray Borg is coming off a loss to DJ, but he had a decent show. He had the best show of his career versus Formiga in the previous fight. And Ray Borg is going to be faster and more explosive and more powerful than Moreno. So right there, when you see all that on paper, it's just really hard to go for Moreno. But he has explosive shots on his takedowns. Very fast on top. Great control. He'll go for a plethora of chokes. Really likes to get the back, go for a rear naked choke. Great scrambler, and that's where his athleticism really helps him out. Really good at, finding himself in top position in the scrambles, and, does a great job attacking submissions when he feels he may lose position in order to create another scramble. He did that very good job, dive on arm bars, omoplatas. He has a nice solid ground and pound. He can cut you up. His striking has gotten so much better since his UFC debut. He's very fast, use good head movement, good range kicks. Throw big leg kicks, big body kicks, attack with spinning kicks, and does a great job moving in and out, being a hard target to time on the feet. Likes to throw an overhand right, straight left. He does have solid submission defense, very good takedown defense. He'll stay calm in submissions, try to work his way out, then regain top position. He has fantastic cardio. He'll be able to push and be extremely fast for 15 or 25 minutes, no matter what type of fight he's in. He's never been finished by strikes, so he definitely has a pretty good chin, even though these guys are pretty small, But excuse me. But he was submitted his last fight against DJ, so he's going to be looking to bounce back from that. He's always looking for the back whenever he's on top. Very nice lead uppercut. He's very fast with it. And when he beat Jussier Formiga, he's an elite 125er who I believe would definitely beat Moreno. But Borg is a game planner, and he definitely follows his game plans well. He's ready for his opponent's counters, train them over and over. He said that against Jussier Formiga, the same thing against Demetrius Johnson. So I definitely feel like he's someone that's a student of the game. And, I'm a fan of Borg. I feel like he's someone that's going to be winning me a lot of money for a long time. I just think that he's a guy that's going to be very good for the division. I do feel like sometimes he can't get caught coming in sometimes. He needs to set up his blitzes better. In the clinch, he has good elbows, good knees to the body, and he's usually always the one moving forward, and I think that he's going to continuously push back Brandon Moreno And I think he's going to land shots and get out without Brandon being able to hit him. Moreno is much slower than Ray Borg. He's actually a pretty slow flyweight with his hands, and he's definitely more of a grappler. This is a bad matchup for him. Borg needs to mind his P's and Q's on the ground and in the takedown attempts, as well as crashing the distance and not getting hit. Moreno definitely needs to sit down, hold his ground more, throw harder strikes in the pocket instead of moving and trying to fight from a distance. He's not developed enough for the speed of Borg. If he tries to fight from a distance, Borg will get inside, land shots, get out, and just win a dominant decision. I think he's going to be able to take down Moreno as well. I think this is going to be a clinic. I think Ray Borg is going to win a clear-cut dominant decision 30-27 in this fight. And I think Ray Borg is going to be announce himself right back, in that top 5-ish type picture. And up next, you had an amazing fight, man. I really went back and forth on this fight over and over. And it's Karolina Kowalkiewicz against Felice Herrig. Both these girls are some of the more well-rounded girls in, women's MMA. So Herrig is riding a 4-fight win streak. She was an underdog in every single fight, opening as the underdog in every single one of those fights. So she's an underdog again here. So, Vegas is showing Felice no love whatsoever. But Karolina, former title challenger, holds some very high-level wins, beat the current champ, Rose Namajunas, beat Randa Marcos. Extremely tough, durable. She uses to walk through punches and land her own. She doesn't give a fuck about getting hit. Doesn't have a lot of head movement, keeps her left hand low, and gets hit, but it just doesn't seem to phase her, And she'll just march you down, throw 1-2s, throws in combination, has a lot of volume. She really overwhelms her opponents with constant forward pressure and strikes. In the clinch, she has great offensive weapons, landing hard knees, hard elbows. And that's one of the most effective areas in her game. Big power to her right hand, dropped and rocked JOANNA with it. She's pretty physically strong. She was able to throw around, dominate Rose in the clinch. But Felice is one of the strongest women in the division. Definitely, I think, will have the strength advantage against Karolina. Karolina moves in straight line. She's always crashed the distance with her punches. Not much of a long-range striker. She will throw body and leg kicks, the occasional head kick. She does really well blitzing you when you're backing up and will land 4 or 5 punches. She likes to finish combinations when you're backing up with a clinch knee. She has very good cardio. She seems to slowly wear out her opponents. She was taken down very easily by Gedalia and then choked out very quickly. I questioned her wrestling game a little bit. She gets her legs very close together in the clinch against the cage. Seems like she doesn't have very good defense in double leg takedowns or body locks as well. And she showed that if she can get on top, though, she's very nasty. She's relentless with her ground and pound and throws very heavy shots. And very wide stance, so I think she can be leg kicked. But overall, Karolina will be tough to beat, unless you could have a clear striking advantage or a clear grappling advantage with good cardio. Even if you're a bit better in one area but not better in the other area, I think Karolina's all-around game and cardio toughness will ultimately get you. Karolina's a very tough matchup for a lot of girls. But Felice Herrig, she's been showing the best war of her career. Ever since dominating Caitlin Courage, she's went on a tear, defeating 3 pretty highly touted prospects. She fought Alexa Grasso, coming in undefeated, a lot of hype. She was able to beat her at her own game, outstrike her. She had great footwork and was able to counter Alexa with right hands, just staying right outside of distance. She was going over and around the defense, really good accuracy with the right hand, landed nice body kicks, a nice 1-2 combination. She was also able to get leg takedowns in the first 2 rounds to seal the rounds. And she's very athletic, and I think she's going to be, the faster one with her movement, with her feet. But she does have a bit of stiffness with her punches in the pocket. Karolina is more comfortable in the pocket with her hands. Definitely has faster hand speed than Felice. I think Felice will be throwing a lot of leg kicks. She fought a similar style, not in terms of talent, but in terms of game plan against a girl named Justine Kish. Kish is another girl who's extremely strong and durable, amazing cardio, doesn't stop moving forward. And Felice put a grappling clinic on her. She beat her 30-26, but she did get a bit tired. Felice does duck her head when she throws punches and right hands at times. And I'm worried she get counted with the uppercut or knees. And she was getting counted with uppercuts against Courtney Casey in their fight. She seems not to react well to get hit to the body either. It seems like she really feels that. But she does have a solid jab, a solid left hook as well. She definitely will bite down, throw hard combos in the pocket, try to get respect. She proved she has a good left and right hook because she used the right hook very effectively against Grasso and the left hook very effectively against Justine Kish. And Herrig has a lot of physical strength, does a great job of getting double underhooks on the body locks and getting body lock takedowns. Great top control, great job of taking them out, will land heavy shots. Really likes to get the back control from there. She's a big submission threat, but she has great ride game, and she will win scrambles, keep top position. Good arm bar, had a really decent rear naked choke victory against Kaylin Curran. Almost had the rear naked choke again against Justine Kish. I do think she'll be in trouble if Carolina gets on top of her. She struggled a bit in the pocket versus Courtney Casey as well. But she showed a great chin and, Wayne in the pocket throwing bombs of her own, and she didn't seem like she was very effective by the shots. She was able to take Casey down in the clinch. She does a great job getting those double underhooks, like I said, and really just driving for those takedowns. This is such a close fight. Felice has power to hooks, does a good job of countering. She doesn't use a lot of kicks. I just feel as if Felice is a better boxer. She'll land a lot of hard hooks, but eventually I think early on when Felice landed those hooks being a little more technical, I think as the fight goes on, if it's still on the feet, she'll start to get punked out by the pressure and the striking ability of Carolina. I think Carolina's combinations and her pressure will be a little too much if it stays on the feet. But Herrig has that, ace up her sleeve where she can get the clinch, get the double underhooks, and try to get a trick takedown. And if she could do that in one round, I think that first round, you'll see, Felice having maybe a little bit cleaner striking advantage where she's landed hooks as Carolina walks in, catching her. But you'll slowly see that Carolina's wearing on her. Maybe by the end of the first round, the tide will be starting to change. But I think in one of those final 2 rounds, Felice will be able to get a takedown, be able to hold position, and be able to win one of the final 2 rounds. And due to that, I'm going to go with Felice Herrig to win a decision, 29-28, and I'm actually going to say it'll be a split decision. And I think it'll be Felice Herrig by split decision. And up next, we have Ally Quinta versus Paul Felder, and just an epic scrap, man. What a fight. What a card as well, Both these guys are coming to throw down. Both have the mindset, to kill or be killed. And Paul Felder's never been finished other than a doctor stoppage due to a cut versus Francisco Trinaldo. Raging Al has never been TKO'd as well, and went to sleep instead of tapping 2 times in the UFC, so just shows where his head is at as well. I quit to 7-2 in the UFC, riding a 5-fight win streak, but contract issues and inactivity has slowed his rise, really stunted his growth in the UFC. And Paul Felder's on a roll as well, winning 3 straight, all by finish, and being the one with the more momentum coming in, finding more active, more recent finishes. But both guys have an indomitable spirit. I think they're both coming in with the belief that they're going to knock out the opponent. Ally Quinta has 4 knockouts in his last 5 fights, while Felder, like I said, won 3 in a row, all by TKO. So this fight has all the makings of a finish for sure. Quinta's fighting just for the second time in 3 years, but he came back and looked pretty amazing against Diego Sanchez. Diego Sanchez does have no chin, but he was able to finish him in less than 2 minutes. He's fighting out of the Cerro Longo fight team. He is a boxer, solid footwork and movement. Make you come to him, try to counter with his right hand. He has big power with that right hand. He can't turn the fight with it, with one punch. Decent left hook, a decent jab, and decent leg kick as well. He will get wild at times, coming with looping hooks that miss horribly. He shoots for single leg takedowns, but doesn't have a good drive on his takedowns. I've actually never seen him land a takedown during his win streak. But he has not been taken down either, but he hasn't faced top shelf competition, besides when he fought George Masvidal, in which everyone saw that fight and everyone has the same exact mindset that it was a robbery. He will eat shots to give his own. His defense is solid, but not great. He can get tagged and hurt. Joe Lauzon was able to tag him with straight punches. He has good cardio. He'll push through a lot of strikes, wins decisions by activity. He's a fun personality, he's been saying he's the man, demanding more money, threatening to go to real estate. So this is his chance, to jump right in the mix at 155. They're giving him a guy who's hot right now, who's won 3 in a row. And the winner of the fight will definitely be in line for, a named guy in his next outing. But Paul Felder's been showing the best form of his career, man. Ever since going to Rufus Sport, in that first fight at Rufus Sport, he fought Ricci, who was that Muay Thai champion. he was able to hurt him with the first left hook that he landed and finished him pretty soon after that. Really battered him in that fight. He's shown he's good in all facets. His clinch game is strong. He has great knees to the body and the head, some of the best elbows in the business. He dropped Stevie Ray with a massive knee, and those elbows to finish the fight against Stevie Ray and Oliveira were just nasty, man. And against Oliveira, he had to survive a lot of deep submission attempts. Really showed some good resolve in that one. And he has some of the nastiest ground and pound. Him along with Jeremy Stevens has some of the nastiest ground and pound I've seen in a long time. On the feet, he is technical. He stays long, throw the front kick to the body, throw a jab. He likes to come inside with a hard step-in elbow, throw hard roundhouse kicks to the body, nice step-in knees. Really good technique with the spinning kicks. Really good spinning back fist as well. This fight was actually scheduled a while back, so this is a second camp for both of these guys. I think Felder's the better, more technical striker. I think he can hit Al without being hit. I think he's going to frustrate Al from a distance. And I think he's better in the clinch. I don't think Al can take down Paul Felder. Felder's going to be able to control the distance with his body kicks and land his hands and elbows when Al tries to close that distance. I think Al kind of tries to close the distance a little crudely. He doesn't set it up. And he does need to avoid getting hit with any hard shots. Al Iaquinta definitely could put his lights out. But I think Paul Felder's going to win a clear-cut decision here against Al Iaquinta. I think he's going to be more active. And I think he's going to just land the harder, better shots. And he's the more active and more dedicated fighter in this matchup, man. It's going to show. He's been fighting. He's been putting in that work. He's been living in the gym at Rufus Sport. Al Iaquinta, I love him as a personality. I really don't like picking against him here, to be honest with you. But he's not nearly as dedicated to the game as a guy like Paul Felder. I think it's going to show here. I think Paul Felder's going to win pretty easily. Up next, you have Anthony Pettis against Michael Chiesa. In a fight where, I think it's pretty straightforward. I think that Anthony Pettis is going to struggle once again, but it's a pretty interesting fight. They're giving Anthony Pettis a winnable but hard matchup, Michael Chiesa isn't the greatest striker, but he's tough, big and long. He's a southpaw, very awkward. He does have a problem overextending, leave himself vulnerable, and I think that's where Anthony Pettis could catch him, especially when he throws kicks. He likes to throw the left kick to the body and to the head and follow up with punches after the kick, kind of get you moving backwards, and that's when he tries to grab you and take you down. He has good pop in his hands. He will go into the pocket recklessly and can tag you with the jab or cross. Really nice step-in elbows as well on the feet, but he can be countered. He's a huge lightweight. He's 6'1", and you can see that in the clinch. Very strong, good leverage. Likes to get the body lock, land knees to the body. Likes to exit the clinch with elbows and punches. He used that body lock to land takedown as well, and that's actually his best takedown. Also has a solid single leg takedown. He does a solid job of defending takedowns as well himself. And once he gets it down, he has very tight jiu-jitsu, really making it tough for you to stand up or get a submission attempt, something that Anthony Pettis uses a lot off of his back. Anthony Pettis is straight nasty off of his back. But his goal every fight, for Michael Chiesa is to get the back mount. Really good back mount, and he's just like a backpack. Great control. Once he gets there, 8 rear naked chokes, and some over legit black belts, legit UFC fighters like Jim Miller and Beneil Dariush. He has momentum coming in this fight, more momentum than Pettis, even though they're both coming off losses. You could argue Michael Chiesa is controversial, even though I don't believe it was. I'm sure he still believes that. So he could come in saying that he still hasn't lost. But Anthony Pettis is coming in 2-5 in his last 7 fights. Lost a lot of steam since being the former champ. Taking a lot of punishment in his last few fights as well. Finished by Max Holloway, finished by Dustin Poirier. Took a beating against Edson Barbosa, but he's still one of the best range strikers in the UFC. Extremely fast kicks. His left body kick is one of the nastiest body kicks in MMA history. He's fast, likes to switch stances. He really usually likes to use the opposite stance that your opponent's using, so he can land those body kicks. He uses a lot of feints, a lot of fakes. Doesn't really throw a lot of volume, but he keeps you guessing and off balance and land big, hard shots. He will open up, start to throw some crazy kicks at times, such as jumping, spinning heel kicks, jumping roundhouse kicks, kicks off the cage. When you give him space, let him strike, let him start to get creative, he becomes elite, But when you pressure him and you jam up his kicks, make him move backwards, he's much less effective, and he's always struggled with that style. He's struggled with letting guys push him against the cage and get in on his legs. Very suspect wrestling. Really struggles to stop himself from being held against the cage too, and being taken down with chain wrestling. When he's taken down, he doesn't get up very well, but his jiu-jitsu from his guard, like I said, is straight nasty. Great job of controlling the wrist and attacking with triangles. Throws his leg ups extremely fast. Will also attack with real slick guillotines and arm bars. Is a real nice kimura. Very nice sweeps. He really does a very good job, but he doesn't have an amazing top game, to be honest. A lot of times he'll just get back up after he sweeps you. But he was landing very nice straight right hand against Dustin Poirier. Chiesa is much bigger than Poirier, and I believe that he's going to be a lot bigger than Pettis as well. But he'll need to be constantly pushing him back and forcing him in the clinch in the pocket. Pettis really got beat up by Dustin Poirier, and after not being finished, in his first 25 fights, he's been finished in 2 of his last 3 fights. So that's really showing something, and really showing a big decline. Chiesa's a big grappler, and he's way more fresh than Anthony Pettis. I just believe he's going to be too much for Pettis. He's going to take him down, stay very tight, take the back control, and I actually think that he's going to beat up Pettis and get a decision victory here. I think Michael Chiesa is going to be able to dominate this fight. I think Pettis might get cut after this one, man. It pains you to say that, right? It really is tough. Maybe he doesn't just because he has a name value still, but I think that it is a very big possibility that Pettis gets handed his walking papers if he gets a loss here, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen. And up next, a really amazing fight again at 145 pounds. 2 of the best prospects at 145. I should think the 3 top prospects in the division are all on this card. Calvin Kattar, Renato Moicano, and Khabib Magomedsharipov. Those are who I think are the 3 biggest prospects, 145 pounds, and they're all on the same card. So, pretty awesome. And, Renato Moicano has been in the UFC since 2014, but injuries had him start off slow, but since 2016, he's definitely been showing what he can do. Great Muay Thai striker, extremely fast hands, really likes to throw jabs, right hands, and or the 1-2 straight punches. Really nice lead uppercut, does a great job of countering your shots in the pocket. He'll dig to the body with the left and right hooks. Fights very game plan oriented, does a great job of fighting in many different ways. He used slick movement, jabs, never let himself get caught against the cage. Great footwork, and always got out of danger. Always got his back to the center against a guy like Jeremy Stevens. Then when he fought Brian Ortega, he got a bit wild in the pocket, weighing punches. Stood in front of him, was landing leg kicks, throwing long combinations. He goes inside and outside with his leg kicks. Very solid takedown defense. Very good at clinching, changing position when you try to jam against the cage, pushing off, getting away. Very good body lock takedown of himself and good timing on it. Likes to take the back, get the rear naked choke. He likes to get that body lock at the end of the round. He is a point fighter. Really does a good job of winning the round with that body lock. But he does have good pop at his shots. He broke his nose pretty bad in his last fight. Sometimes that happens again, a la Rory McDonald. And Calvin Kattar has a very good jab, so that's something that you definitely have to be wary of. Is if Moicano has a problem with his nose again. But he got caught in a guillotine his last fight against Brian Ortega, but he was arguably up 2.5 rounds to 0 at the time. And Calvin Kattar is a fantastic boxer, works behind an awesome jab. He'll use that jab to the head and to the body. Great accuracy and timing with it. He'll land the jab, come back with a straight left. And very good precision striker, very good accuracy, awesome footwork. He'll circle, not get his back against the cage. Counter with that left hand, counter with that jab. He doesn't throw a combination as much. He has a great inside and outside leg kick. He'll level change when you're close to the cage, work for singles and doubles. Very good at controlling the distance, using his game plan. Land his jab, land his left hand, use his movement, win rounds. He struggled a bit defending combinations against Shane Burgos when he countered with more than one shot. When Burgos was countering with long punch combinations, he was getting hit a little bit. He does have a solid front kick to the body, landed to the head against Burgos, and that was really pretty. He isn't much of a kicker, though, but he prefers to just mainly box. Get in here with a lot of body shots against Shane Burgos as well. Really has a solid lead uppercut, and he's kind of a point fighter as well. Doesn't have that type of knockout power, but was able to knock out Shane Burgos in his last fight. Landed a really nasty uppercut. And, last time the Lozon fight team all fought together, which they're doing again. Kyle BOCHNIAK's on this card.
Joe Lozon, Calvin Kattar. So those are 3 guys. The last time they did that, they went 4-0 with Rob Font getting the victory, Calvin Kattar getting the victory, Kyle Bochniak getting the victory, and who else got the victory there? Someone else also got a victory there for them. All in that night. I think Julio Arce, and that was at UFC 220. So they did have some pretty good success all training together last time. But, you know, Kattar, in my opinion, may break Moicano's nose again. Like I said, I think that could cause problems, the jab of Kattar. But I think Moicano has more tools than Kattar does. I think he throws more kicks, has more volume. I think in the pocket he's going to be hitting him with some pretty decent combination shots. I think that Kattar does struggle when he's getting hit with longer combinations. And I believe he has that body lock takedown that he'll be able to get as well. So I'm going to say Moicano wins in a very close, high-level contest. So I'm going to go with Renato Moicano Carneiro by decision in that one. And now we're down to the last 2 fights, the co-main event and the main event, and this is what everyone's been waiting for, Rose Namajunas versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk, the rematch. You know, the first fight had everyone shocked. Rose Namajunas freaking came in there, first round knockout, Thug Rose, baby, and just had her tap it out to strikes, and that was just something you never thought you would have seen. And just 5 months later, the rematch is here. Joanna, a longtime champion, hungry, ready to get her title back. And I really, I enjoy Joanna. I think she was great for the sport. She really raised the profile for that division at 115 pounds. And I know now she's getting a lot of flack now that she lost for the comments that she made, but she's been making those comments all the way through. When she was giving Claudia Gadelha all that shit on Tough, I didn't see everyone piling on her saying she's the worst. Now they're really trying to put her in that same category as Ronda Rousey, things like that. I just wholeheartedly disagree. Joanna took her lumps after the fight, went to the press conference. She's allowed to talk shit, man. You can build up the fight. It's no difference. I think everyone loves Rose's personality, loves her post-fight speech, loved what she said. They got behind that. Really started to put a lot of pressure on Joanna. A lot of just negativity, but, I'm still a fan of Joanna as well. But I do think that she didn't accept the loss, it seems like. She's blaming the loss on a botched weight cut, fired her nutritionists, convinced that it had nothing to do with skill. It was all her weight cut. I'm not sure if she's mentally broken coming into the fight, but it just seems like it's a crutch right there. And Rose is the same Rose, calm, cool, collected in this build-up, not letting Joanna get in her head. I haven't seen her say one negative thing about Joanna. Rose is a dynamic fighter, both on the feet and on the ground. She's dominated her last 2 opponents, finishing them. She destroyed Michelle Waterson, then destroyed Joanna. Great movement, will move in and out, enter from different angles. Really has a nasty looping overhead right, a nasty left hook that she dropped Joanna with. She can get very flowy with her combinations, just really, really look like just very, very, very fluid in there. Very straight right counter, very good straight right counter. On the outside, she gets better as the fight goes on, and unless you make it ugly, she'll really start to piece you up from the outside. Really nice leg kick as well. Landed that nasty head kick, gets Michelle Waterson off the break of the clinch. And early on in that fight against Joanna, she was making her miss badly. Joanna was waiting for Rose to come in, throwing 1-2s and jabs at air. Rose isn't the strongest competitor, but she does have solid takedowns. She will attack with a odd trip takedown off a punch combination. She kind of comes in with a right hand and just tries to put it behind your neck and get the trip at the same time. It really is a little bit odd. She goes for some decent singles as well. She can't get bullied in the clinch and hit with punches. She was hurt and rocked against Tisha Torres. Hit with a lot of knees and elbows, wore down against Karolina Kowalkiewicz in the clinch. But she is opportunistic in the clinch. She'll jive for submissions, flying arm bars, standing rear naked chokes. And so it makes her dangerous still. She has great ground and pound, does a good job taking the back. And I do think the more you push her, though, the more you make her work, you hit her. She kind of shells up, she starts to wear down. But she is very fast, and she's never been finished by strikes. And Joanna was on top of the world, man, prior to her shocking loss, 14-0, 5 consecutive title defenses, Muay Thai striker, elite takedown defense. But she's faced a lot of similar opponents in the UFC, with the majority of them wanting to get the fight to the ground, Fighting Claudia Gadelha twice, fought Carla Esparza, fought Jessica Pede, Jessica Andrade. All those girls are predominantly ground fighters. And all of them will come in straight lines just trying to take you down, which is exactly what Joanna wants. You know, Joanna wants you to try to take her down. Maybe you'll get her down and she's going to pop right back up. She's going to wear you out. And by the end of the fight, you're going to be standing there like a sitting duck like Claudia Gadelha. And or you're just never going to be able to get inside because you're just not the striker like Carla Esparza Pede or Andrade. And, you know, the fights that she's really had more, you know, of a struggle with are fights against Karolina Kowalkiewicz where she got dropped. You know, a fight against Valerie Letourneau, which was a pretty difficult fight for her. She did have trouble with the fights with Claudia Gadelha, but that's because Claudia Gadelha also has a great striking game where she could not get dominated in the striking, so she was able to make herself decent in the striking, land some shots. She actually dropped Joanna quite a few times, and then she was able to implement her grappling. But Karolina and Letourneau both have a very linear come-forward style, which is very different than Rose. You know, Rose is the first fighter in Joanna's career that utilizes good footwork and movement, comes in with different angles. But Joanna is a nasty striker, man. Can't take nothing away from her. She puts together combinations in the pocket better than almost anyone in the UFC. Very good jab, very good 1-2 combination, finishing with a leg kick. She likes to finish a lot of her combinations with leg kicks, actually. Really elite hand speed. She might have some of the fastest hands in the UFC. She'll attack with a nasty front kick to the body and to the face. Very nice clean right hook. She get hit as well if you stay in the pocket and throw at the same time as her, though. And nasty elbows both in the clinch and stepping in. She does a great job exiting the clinch with the shot, usually a kick to the body. Incredible cardio, and builds as the fight goes on. She loses the first round in a lot of her fights, comes back to win. She's gotten much physically stronger and better at her grappling game since she's joined ATT. And, you know, very good takedown defense. And if you get her down, just her get-up game is just second to none. But she has been dropped or finished in 4 straight fights. She took a lot of damage in the Rose fight and in all the 5-round fights, you know, that she's had in the UFC. And between that and her kickboxing fights, her Muay Thai fights, this is going to be her 88th fight, man. That's a lot of fights, 88 times. You start to see that in a lot of her fights, you know, against Karolina, against Claudia Gadelha, against Jessica Andrade. She has a lot of facial damage as well. Huge hematomas. Just looking very beat up. So she's definitely taking a lot of damage. She does a great job cutting you off when you're coming toward her, landing a leg kick, front kick to the body, or jab and move. Also does a great job of walking you down, landing long combinations, really battering you if you're not answering and standing right in front of her. But Rose does none of those things. Rose doesn't stand in front of you. And you saw that Joanna really struggled to get her range and land her shots, throw it in air versus Rose. In order for Joanna to be effective, I believe she'll have to get in the clinch early, put herself in danger of being submitted, you know, land those knees, land those elbows, wear on Rose, similar to Karolina. And you just can't let her be on the outside and get comfortable. But after the first couple rounds, I do believe Joanna will be the fresher fighter if she could implement that game plan and could run away with it late. But I just don't see much of a different outcome. 88 fights is a lot of fights, a lot of wear and tear. And coming off just getting knocked out pretty badly or getting TKO'd pretty badly, coming back 5 months later, I just don't think it's enough time to close the gap, to close those holes. I think Rose is going to drop Joanna and submit her with the rear naked choke in the 3rd round. I think Joanna's going to do a little bit better in this fight, but I don't see a scenario being much different. And I'm going to go with Rose Namajunas. And up next, we're up to the fight that, shit, man, I've been waiting for this whole time. Can't get it out of my head, you know, been thinking different scenarios. And it's Tony Ferguson against Khabib Nurmagomedov, man. And, you know, a 9-fight win streak. It's a 10-fight win streak in the UFC. 10-fight win streak overall for Tony. 25-fight win streak overall for Khabib. You know, what more else do you want, you know? Arguably the best fight in lightweight history. The interim champ, Tony Ferguson, or the real champ, whatever the fuck you want to call him. You know, I'll call Tony the real champ. I don't give a fuck. Fuck the UFC. He's the real champ. So, Tony Ferguson, he's defending his bout against Khabib. This fight's been long in the making, you know. They fought 3 separate times. So, you know, obviously they've been prepared for each other. And the build-up has still been pretty good, man. Both these guys talk a lot of shit. And, you know, with Conor McGregor looming for the winner, obviously that makes it a bigger fight as well. But first off, we're going to start off with Tony Ferguson. That guy's a monster, man. Relentless. He's a guy that goes up to Big Bear, creates his own training camp. He just wants it, man. That's the definition of Tony Ferguson. You can't say anything else besides the fact that he wants it. He wants this so bad. He trains like a savage, going on 6-mile runs at 1 a.m. Unbelievable work ethic and dedication, man. He's an action fighter. He gets in wars for the fans. 10 straight UFC fights. 10 straight UFC wins. 7 finishes in those 10 fights. Extremely well-rounded. He usually strikes till you go for a desperate shot. He'll catch you in a choke or just knock you out, man. And he's very long. He uses that very well with forward pressure. He will enter with long uppercuts, straight punches, front kicks to the body, really hard inside leg kicks, jabs, and just throws so much volume and variety at you, just breaks you down, man. He has footwork like no one in MMA history. He'll switch stances constantly. He loves to land a long-range shot orthodox, then switch and crouch southpaw with a lead uppercut, which I just don't see many guys I've ever seen him do that, man. It has a really nice left hook. Always switching stances. His head is always moving. He'll literally start dancing where he's like almost breakdancing for you. He was doing that spin just like, I don't know, against RDA. He was really just like, looked like he was dancing in there, man. And just next level movement. In the pocket, very fast with his hand speed. For a guy that long, you don't think he'll be that fast in the pocket with his hand speed. Tony Ferguson is fast as hell in that pocket. Very big power. He can knock you out with one shot. But mostly an accumulation striker. He hasn't been knocking out people with one shot recently, but he definitely has that in his career. And he will square up at times when he comes forward. It can get him hit, but it also makes him dangerous from both sides, so he can throw with power from both sides. He has some of the best lead elbows in the UFC, both on the feet and on the ground. He has very nice elbows, but his lead elbows that he throws on the feet are just beautiful, man. Long, slashing elbows, really trying to cut you open. Cut a lot of guys open in his fights, man. Just really cuts guys open. Relentless pressure, and when he feels you're slowing down, he'll stay right in your face. You saw that when he was fighting Barbosa. He started to see Barbosa was wearing down. He was literally jogging him down, running him, being right in his face, not giving him an inch of breath. And, he tends to start a bit slow, and then he'll start to wear on you. He starts to pick it up slowly but surely. It just starts to be a dominant performance for Tony Ferguson, man. He's a 2-time NCAA All-American wrestler, NCAA National Champion wrestler. People forget that. Very good takedown defense. Extremely good at creating scramble positions. When you go for takedowns, he will do crazy things. He rolls for leg locks. In the middle of the fight, he'll do a rolling leg lock. He was doing that against Danny Castillo quite a bit. And that's how Danny Castillo was able to get some of his top control. It wasn't off taking him down. And if you take him down, he's incredible off his back. A 10th planet black belt, he'll lock you up in that high guard or that rubber guard, land hard cutting elbows. Really is, usually the aggressor off his back. And he looks for arm bars, looks for a triangle. He does an amazing job of getting wrist control, landing elbows off his back, like I said, that will cut you open. He'll actually go for leg locks a lot, just get sweeps. Solid get-up game as well. And he'll never give up. He'll never panic on the ground. You'll never see Tony Ferguson breaking mentally. He's always going to be calm. He's always going to be collected. He's always going to be fighting his way through it. And he does keep his right hand low, so he's susceptible to that left hook. He can sometimes throw leg kicks, not setting him up and get caught and hurt. Got dropped by Kevin Lee that way. He has great recoverability, tremendous chin, man, just an awesome chin. He's taking some bombs, just walks through them, asking for more. He was taken down by Kevin Lee with the body lock in round 1. But Tony tried to take his back, and Kevin Lee was able to win the scramble and get top position on that takedown. And he had a good high guard. He was looking for arm bars, looking for triangles. But he did get his guard pass 2 times. He did recover it once, but the second time, Kevin Lee was able to get side control, then mount, laid some hard punches and elbows for about 30 seconds. I do believe Kevin Lee is much more explosive with his initial shots to entries than Khabib is. He has a great shot in space. He can close the distance, land takedowns faster than Khabib. Khabib's initial shot actually isn't extremely good, just once he gets in on you, gets in on those legs, he never lets go. He's more of a Ben Askren type guy. Doesn't have the type of explosion type of athleticism as a guy like Kevin Lee where he can get the takedowns in space. But once he gets on those legs, good luck getting him off those legs. That's Khabib's thing. But he's not going to be someone that's getting, singles and doubles in space very often, But when he gets you against the cage, he's definitely going to take you down. But Tony uses a ton of fakes and feints, gets very loose in his fights. When he starts to get loose, having fun, that's when he's definitely at his best. Lee did get what seemed like a very easy double leg in round 3, but Tony got right back up after that, and Kevin Lee was able to land another takedown, but I think the second one that Kevin Lee landed, Tony Ferguson gave it to him. I think he let him land that takedown, because almost right away he was in a triangle, or in an armbar, and then he got the triangle. So I think that he just saw that Kevin Lee was extremely tired, and he knew that he could get him off his back, so he just gave that takedown after he got up so easily off the first one. And I went back and watched a lot of tape for this fight. A lot of tape, guys. In this fight with Danny Castillo, a lot of people reference that as a robbery. I think he clearly won that fight. He only got taken down legitimately one time, and he was way more active off his back. He took no damage. He ended up on bottom a couple times due to rolling for leg locks. And I believe he just didn't fear Castillo's top game whatsoever. And he was just beating him up off his back, getting him in positions where he was the only one throwing strikes. And I just thought that he did that all because he just wanted to work on off his bottom game. I really do. I don't think that it was because he had terrible takedown defense. Nothing like that. He has had performances where he shows his takedown defense is on point. He denied easily all of RDA's attempts and just dominated that fight largely on the feet. Everyone would like to say that it was a much more dominant win or that Khabib's win was much more dominant versus RDA than Tony Ferguson's, but RDA wasn't the fighter he was when he fought Tony. RDA has always, not had success versus elite wrestlers, but he's had success versus elite guys that he could take down, such as Nate Diaz, Anthony Pettis, or guys that he could run through earlier, that he did run through early, such as Benson Henderson or Donald Cerrone or Neil Magny. But when you look at his matchups with elite wrestlers, when he fought Gleison Tibau, what happened? He lost. When he fought Clay Guida, what happened? He lost. When he fought Tyson Griffin, what happened? He lost. When he fought Khabib, what happened? He lost. And when you watch his fight against Evan Dunham, take it down multiple times, I think he lost that fight too. That was a robbery in my opinion. And another similar opponent in Edson Barbosa, I believe that was also a great matchup for a guy like Khabib or Tony. Both of them are very forward pressure fighters, and Edson's always struggled with that style, always struggled with forward pressure fighters and people will smother his kicks. And both guys are able to do that, get Edson on the back foot, and after they got him on the back foot, they kind of destroyed him. This is 100% the hardest and a completely different matchup than Khabib has ever faced. I completely disagree with people who believe Ferguson would just allow Khabib to take him down because he's confident off his back. Tony's much smarter than that, even though he puts on this facade for the media. I think that I don't know, man. Tony might be an evil genius or something, man, because I really think that he's going to come in there he's going to know that he can't go on his back. I mean, that's just stupid. But Khabib Nurmagomedov, that guy's a straight up savage. One of the best grapplers in the history of MMA. But his striking is just a means to an end, but he's much more calm and patient now than when he first entered the UFC. Early on in his UFC career, you see him explode in with big uppercuts that aren't set up, big punches, and he could get easily countered. And he would do that a lot. He also came in with a left hook and just left himself exposed. And I think that if he does that in this fight, ever gets sloppy, leads in with that uppercut, I think he's going to get hit with a hard lead elbow, man. I really do. But now on the feet, he's much more economical, hands up, just looking for opportunities. His striking is, like I said, basically a means to an end. Eventually, he'll get you close to the cage. He'll attack with a couple punches and then get in on those legs, get that body lock, drag you down. Really solid job of setting up his strikes with the punches. Gets you against the cage, gets a blitz, changes levels for singles or doubles against the cage. And like I said, his first shot's actually not that great or explosive. Usually a lot of people could stay up. But he never lets you get out of his grasp. And eventually he'll get that body lock. He'll throw you around, dominate you. That's how he was able to take Trujillo down 21 times. It wasn't like he was landing takedowns, getting top position, holding it. He would take him down, Trujillo would pop right back up, he'd take him down again, pop right back up, he'd take him down again with the body lock. So it's kind of not finished takedowns in my opinion. But, Trujillo actually took him down as well with the double leg. And Khabib was very impressive off his back. Khabib immediately attacked with a triangle, an armbar, got the reversal, got top position. And Trujillo was able to win some scrambles as well, but eventually he broke. All these guys break eventually against Khabib, and they're resigned to just getting taken down and held down. Pat Healy for 2 rounds, Healy was defending all of Khabib's shots, bouncing right back up if he got taken down. And he was pressuring Khabib on the feet, made him look pretty uncomfortable. But in round 3, he finally got him down and smushed him, man. Khabib did with his ground and pound. And Pat Healy just became susceptible to it. But, he fought Tebow, and against Tebow, he was 0 for 11 on his takedown attempts. And he was outstruck. I don't know how he won that fight. I definitely think he lost that fight. But against RDA is a solid striker, but he beats people when he's able to take the fight to his comfort zone as well, which is grappling. He's lost to many wrestlers. And, RDA was trying to take Khabib down in round 3 after getting momentum striking. So it just shows to illustrate you how reliant he is on trying to get the fight down. But RDA was broken in that fight, and Tony Ferguson's never going to break. He's never going to divert from his game plan. He's never going to think that he has no chance to win. And, his last 2 wins have been over very, very good strikers, but neither of them is a wrestler, man, or a great grappler. Michael Johnson has had continuous problems with wrestlers. He lost to Reza Madadi, lost to Khabib, most recently lost to Darren Elkins, all in similar ways. And, he actually had early success on the feet with straight punches, lateral movement. On the feet, Khabib could start backing up at times. He looks uncomfortable, and it looks like Khabib doesn't like to get hit, honestly, in my opinion. And in space, Khabib isn't that amazing at takedowns. He could be shoved. Michael Johnson, stuffed a few of his takedowns in the center of the cage. But against the cage, Khabib is almost automatic. Once he gets you down, he passes like butter, gets crucifix, rains down shots. Really brutal ground and pound. But against guys who are solid off their back, they've actually been able to defend pretty well. RDA didn't take much damage. Since returning post Daryl Horcher, though, his grappling has looked even more dominant. He's gotten better at trapping the wrist, better at getting dominant positions and just smashing on people. He doesn't have concussive power. He just mauls you, breaks them down. Against Michael Johnson, he threw almost no strikes on the feet in that fight. I found that very interesting. Maybe a few uppercuts to get inside or overhand, but I bet he threw less than 30 strikes on the feet in that fight. He ended up getting a nasty Kimura. He was just able to take down Michael Johnson whenever he wanted. But against Edson Barbosa, since he knew that he had to get inside, smother those punches, throwing much more strikes, trying to move in with punching, with hooks. And Edson was always moving backwards, trying to circle, get away. And Khabib would come in with left-right hooks. He was throwing some lead uppercuts. He actually went back to throwing his flying knee, which he loved to throw early on in his career, but hadn't seen him throw in quite a while. But Edson Barbosa is a guy who definitely was dangerous for Khabib. He has propensity for one-shot KOs, spinning heel kick KOs. He can time a flying knee, knock you out. But that was his only chance for victory. He's always struggled with pressure. The best way to deal with kicks is pressure, and that was one of the best possible matchups for Khabib against a high-level guy. To show his skills. If you're only going backwards against Khabib, it opens up his whole game. All he needs is to get you against that cage one time, and you're down, and he most likely wins the round, and then has you, very hurt for the rest of the fight. And his trip and body lock is definitely his best takedown against the cage. Seems like he is much stronger than his opponents. Just bulldogs him, bullies him, and he'll posture up in your guard, throw heavy ground and pound. Likes to move to side control, push the legs, and side control seems like his favorite position for ground and pound. Really likes to get that crucifix position and land big shots. And when he gets the mount, he'll cross his legs so he can sit up and get really, really, really comfortable there and just feel very heavy. And Barbosa showed great heart, but he definitely lost some drive to keep fighting. So did Michael Johnson. I think both those guys checked out mentally, and I just can't imagine that happening to Tony. And Tony's also just a much better wrestler, a much better jiu-jitsu artist than either of those guys. I think Tony's going to be coming forward, unlike both those guys as well. I think he's going to push the pace. I don't think he's going to back up. I think he's going to use smart pressure, stay along with his punches but move forward. And I can't remember the last time I've seen Tony suck against the cage. If someone could tell me the last time they've seen someone get Tony against the cage, right in the comment box. But Tony will never get his back near that warning track, in my opinion. And I think he'll get taken down early, maybe. But I think he's going to make Khabib work hard. I think he's going to have some success throwing elbows on his back. I think eventually Khabib's going to get tired. He's never been in a 5-round fight. And Tony's going to have him moving backwards, in my opinion. He's not used to doing that. I think at one point you're going to see Tony land a step-in elbow. And you think he's going to cut Khabib. And I think after that happens, Khabib's going to be much less aggressive pushing forward. And I think you're going to see the same thing that usually happens in Tony Ferguson fight, man. I think Tony Ferguson's going to slowly start to take over. Khabib has said some stuff that makes me believe maybe he's taking Tony lightly. I heard him say that Tony's old, he's 34, he's going to maul him, he's going to destroy him, he's going to knock him out with the left hook. And I think he's a bit overconfident. And Tony Ferguson has the perfect mindset. You know, Tony Ferguson, I heard him saying he's always second, never going to be first, and has a relentless work ethic. I mean, I just think he's earned this, man. Tony Ferguson has more weapons, better cardio, better striking. He's been in more wars, and he just knows how to come back from adversity. This is the 4th time they've had a camp for this fight. Khabib is much easier to game plan for than Tony. And having 4 attempts, they should definitely have a good game plan for Khabib. And I think Tony's going to finish the guy, man. I think round 4 or 5, Khabib's going to be very wary. And I think Tony's going to win by TKO. I'm going to go Tony Ferguson by TKO in round 4. And I don't know, man. I've seen a lot of people really counting out Tony Ferguson. And I just got to say, man, never underestimate the heart of a champion. And that man, Tony Ferguson, is 100% a champion. Never could take that away from him. He's a guy that's, in my opinion, always going to be in the mix. He's always going to be a guy that's right there for a title shot. And or be the champion like he is now. And I think he's going to be here for years, man. I think Tony Ferguson, with that mindset, you know, that guy's just a monster. One of the best fighters ever. And for my most confident pick of the week, like I said, I'm going to be going with Ashlee Evans-Smith. And for the parlay of the week, we're going to go with Ray Borg and Ashlee Evans-Smith as the parlay. And if you guys want to do an underdog parlay, I think I would say a pretty good underdog parlay would be Artem Lobov, Chris Gruetzmacher, and Paul Felder. I think that's a good parlay as well for underdog. Or if you want to do another underdog parlay, which I think could potentially hit as well, you could hit a Felice Herrig, Renato Carneiro, and Tony Ferguson, man. And Rose Namajunas is also an underdog. There's a lot of underdogs on this card that I believe have very good chances to win and very clear path to victory. Paul Felder is also an underdog as well at plus 100. That's another one that I would look at as well. And hope you guys enjoyed the show, guys. Hope you guys missed me, and I'm back, baby.